Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss with you the 8th chapter of ICC. It is titled as Challenges to Intercultural Competence. At the beginning, it's perfect to see what is the meaning of social categorization. It means that people in a society divide themselves into smaller, more defined groups to make their interactions easier and more straightforward. These groups are created on the basis of common and shared characteristics that unite people together, and each group is labeled with a name that may cross-line it with another group. So once we say social categorization, what we mean by is that every single person in a society will be under the umbrella of a group. This group could be political, could be social, could be religious, or it could be something regarding to his or her family. So we can say that sometimes it could be something like small categorization, like boys in a school, children in a kindergarten, sometimes some friends in a college, sometimes women who are still single, or women who are divorced, women who are widows. So all of them are categorizations or groups. And every group of these groups will have some characteristics that may have cross-line with another groups. Like, for example, when we say the categorization of women who have the same social status. For example, they are all widows. They will have cross-line with some other women who are divorced. So they will share some characteristics or some ideas, sometimes some events, and so on. So once we say social categorization, what we mean by is groups of people, whether we're talking about religious groups, social groups, religious groups, and so on. And actually, such kind of groups sometimes may unite the people and sometimes may lead to some problems. It depends on the society and it depends on the individuals of those groups. Okay, we have some examples here, like an individual is identified with his family, either by legal contracts or blood. Like when we say this person is from that family, that person is from that tribe, and so on. As we grow and start to communicate with the groups outside the family, we start making groups with the school. So we have honor students or underachieving students, athletes or non-athletes, groups, musicians, highly esteemed groups, or low esteemed smokers or non-smokers. And actually, we can see some of these groups nowadays on social media websites. Like we have the unit of for example, the Toyota owners or the Mercedes Benz owners. Sometimes we have groups for women who are cooking. Sometimes we have groups for students of the foreign languages faculty, and so on. So we have, like, every single person of us will be under the umbrella of a group, whether we're talking about social groups or non-social groups. Social categorization is a natural human inclination. It makes it easier for a person to quickly deduce whether a new member is welcomed or not in a specific group. On the other hand, social categorization may lead to communication based on fear, rejection, and hatred. Therefore, it leads to some social problems. Now, as I've told you before, once these social categorization are with the normal sense or with the normal status, so nothing will happen. But once we are with the high rank of the sense, like if I am racist to my group, racist to my musicians group or smoker groups, even if they have wrong characteristics or bad characteristics, I see them like every time they are the best, every time they are the right one. So once I have such racist mind or thinking, this will lead me as a society to some social problems. And these are the problems that we're going to discuss in this chapter. So we have intracentrism, stereotyping, prejudice, racism, and cultural shock will be said by the end. Okay, so let's start by the intracentrism. Here is a look of every single one of these social problems and some examples by the end. So intracentrism means the sociological characteristics that make up a group whose members share a common ancestry, descent, or heritage, which include one or more of the following common culture, history, nationality, religion, language, dialect, or belief. So once I say intracentrism, it means that I am a part of my family, of my tribe, of my religion. I am a member of my, for example, Jordanian history or Jordanian nationality or Jordanian culture. So my culture or my society, my nationality is the best. Okay. None of the people around me is better than me because I am a part of this social categorization or a part of this group. So this is the meaning of intracentrism. I am sharing with some people my relatives, my descent, and my heritage. Okay. There are two questions that I need you to discuss or to comment on them. The first one is that intracentrism is a cultural bias. What is the meaning of, or how can you explain that? Here is an explanation you can get a benefit from. And the second is that does intracentrism exist in all societies? Okay, let's have a look of this answer. Some sociologists argue that intracentrism exists in all societies and in all cultures, and I actually believe in that. That is, all of these social problems exist actually in all societies, as it helps to maintain the social order by strengthening the sense of belonging, solidarity, and loyalty to one's culture. This is actually the beginning of the problem. Sometimes, if we are in deep with the loyalty to my culture or to my society, to my tribe, this may lead to some problems. Intracentrism is inevitable if we grow up exclusively within our own culture. Our cultural worldview is all that we know. Therefore, we evaluate everything from that point of reference. It is only natural, but since these attitudes of superiority, okay, and focus on the word of superiority, this is the problem, towards other groups, often under intercultural communications create suspicious and lead to hostility between people. We need to be aware of its existence and develop appreciation for other cultures, strengths and weaknesses. So the problem lies in superiority. I see that I am superior, I am the best because of my tribe, because of my family, because of my nationality, because of my relatives. So I am the best because of all these. And this actually will lead us to intracentrism. Okay, now the second problem that we may face because of the social categorization is something called stereotyping. It means generalization. Generalization about a group of people that offers us a way to organize and simplify our perceptions of others. Now, once we say stereotype, the word stereotype means that I make my opinion towards something or somebody because or based on the experience of somebody else. I have no experience with that thing or with that person, but I depend on the experience or the opinion made by somebody. So I make a generalization. For example, if I say that for example, like the Italian dish, the Italian kitchen is very delicious. I actually don't tried any of the cuisine or any of the Italian cuisine or any of the Italian dishes, But because my friend tells me that the Italian dishes are the best, so I make this stereotype, I make this opinion. And many people around the world say that the Italian dish are the best. So this makes a stereotype that is the Italian dish are the best in the world, but actually it may not the best. Sometimes we have better dishes than the Italian. This is how stereotypes happen in the society. Once we say stereotypes in the societies, it means that I will make an opinion toward a social categorization or a group of people because of the experience of some other people before me or before us. This will lead us to many problems, actually. I'll tell you now some examples and some discussions about that. Now, the problem of stereotyping is that the characteristics are attributed to all members of the out group, regardless of the individual's unique characteristics. This is the point. In addition, these characteristics are often exaggerated. So the exaggeration happens whether we like or we dislike this thing. There is a sense of exaggeration, inaccurate. Okay, it is not accurate. The opinion that I make towards something is not accurate. It is based on the experience of somebody else and carry negative connotations. These generalizations are inaccurate and can lead to misunderstandings. When communicating with a member from one of these groups, we need to deal each person as an individual. Actually, this is in order to come over this problem, we have to deal with every single person of that group as individually. So this will solve the problem. But once they are gathering with each other, we can't communicate with them. We can't negotiate with them because of the stereotype that we have toward this group. That, for example, this group is nervous. This group is with bad sense or with good sense. Okay. Now, how it is shaped for the stereotype, it could be shaped by direct exposure or second-hand information and opinions, including media. So the first one is direct exposure to one or two people from a group. And or as I've told you before, by the second-hand information given by somebody else or some other groups. Okay, now we have some, like an exercise. Make a stereotype for the following. All Europeans are what? Okay, I'll give you an example and then you can make a good stereotypes for that. Now, the stereotype that we have about Arabs, for example, like all Arabs are rich people. These stereotypes happen maybe because of the people who live in the Gulf, in the Arab Gulf, because of fuel. So that we have a generalization over the whole Arabian people that all of them are rich people. But actually, this is not true. All Japanese people are smart people, maybe because of the strong technology industry that Japan have over the world. So because of that, we have this stereotype. But actually, it is not accurate. All Muslims are what? Actually, we have so many stereotypes about Muslims. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong, and some of them are unfair. Like once we have, like 10 years ago, a stereotype appears in the world that all Muslims are terrorists because of some terrorism actions and happens. But actually, this is not true. All men are what? All old people are what? All overweight people are sometimes funny. But actually, stereotypes, as I've told you, are inaccurate. Okay, I need you to think about this one. Stereotyping play a role in shaping our identity. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? And why? You can read this answer just to depend or to make your own answer. Now, the second social problem that is resulted from the social categorization is called prejudice. Every culture has certain standards or norms to be followed by its members. When norms of different cultures intersect, members of a culture ideally prefer their own and view them as best and true, reinforcing their sense of belonging to their culture. But when this sense of belonging and preference for one's own ways is exaggerated, unexplained, and irrational feelings of intolerance toward different norms develop, this develops into unexplained feelings of contempt called prejudice. It is actually similar to Intracentrism in some way or another, but the difference is that I have some exaggeration or extra exaggeration and unexplained feelings toward my like my ethnic, my gender, my age, my social class, and so on. Now, in ethnocentrism, the racism, let's say, or the exaggeration of my feeling is toward my heritage, my family, and my tribe. But once we say prejudice, the meaning is wider than that. It has to be said toward so many social things, so many social standards. We have some examples here, like racial prejudice. It is a classification of a group of people based on their shared physical characteristics, such as skin color, eye, and shape. Some people will make social categorization because all of them are with blue eyes, for example. Can you imagine how stupid this group is? Okay, so sometimes they are with based on their skin, like white people or black people, and it is still actually, unfortunately, it is still existed in our world nowadays. The other example is ethnic prejudice. It's a classification of a group of people based on certain ancestry, such as history, nationality, religion, and language. This is so similar to the anthropocentrism. Gender prejudice, like we have the categorizations for males or females. Social class prejudice, if they are with political party, if they are rich or poor people, or with the middle class people, and age prejudice and religious prejudice. Religious, if they are Christian or Muslims or Jews or something like that. Age prejudice, we are with the same age, like teenagers are the best or are better than adults. Children are or are better than teenagers, and so on. Okay. The next problem is called racism. Actually, racism is a combination of both anthropocentrism and prejudice, but it has to be more with our attitudes and ability or physical traits. So it is the belief that certain race is more dominant. So once we say racism, we mean by the idea of dominance. Okay, so a certain race is more dominant than the other races in terms of certain attributes, abilities, or physical traits. In other words, it is prejudice against other races, and the actions caused by this prejudice combined with the belief in the superiority of one race over others. So this race is the best, it is the superior of other races in the world. This happens in the world actually in many occasions. Like if you have a look of the American Civil War, the World War II, White and Black War, the slavery war in the United States or in America. So all of these wars, all of these occasions will tell you a good example for racism. That is, for example, white race is superior on the black race, for example. The civil war, something regarding the religion, like this party is better than this party, or it's dominant of this party, the political party, and so on. In these wars, racism was used as a weapon to find those who find themselves superior. Okay, Now, how to solve the problem of racism? Actually, the best way to get rid of racism in the society is to have positive contact and interaction between people who belong to different cultures and races. So, it is good to have negotiation or meetings between white and black people, between Muslims and Christian people, between the A and B, between plus and minus. So, once you have negotiations, once you have meetings, the problem will disappear. Okay, the last problem that we may have is cultural shock. And culture shock actually could happen in every occasion and in every situation of the human being's life. It could happen in the life of a child, in the life of an adult, in the life of young, old people, and so on. It may happen once you are in your country or outside of your country, once you are with your family, or if you get married. So culture shock means that you are changing your current environment, your current people. This is the let's say the accurate definition for culture shock. So you are changing the current people or the current environment with something else. So you will feel as if you have some problems to cope or to communicate with the new society or new environment. Okay, now it is the feeling of disorientation that a person experiences when he changes his familiar way of life and moves to a new environment. It can be a result of immigration, a visit to a new city or country, or a major change in one's social environment. The best examples for individuals who might suffer from cultural shock are students who study abroad and immigrants. Okay, this is, let's say, the traditional meaning for culture shock, or a traditional example for cultural shock. But as I've told you before, it could happen everywhere and every time. Now, symptoms caused by cultural shock. How can you decide that, okay, I am suffering from cultural shock? At the beginning, we have feelings of alienation or isolation and homesickness. This is the first feeling that you will feel. That is, I am alone. I am not belonging to this society or to this people. To miss his home country and all the cultural customs related to that place and its people. So at the beginning, I will miss the whole dishes, the whole people, the whole characteristics, the whole environment features that I have in my home country. Feelings of longing turn into depression. And this is actually a bad symptom because you will go in depression. You will be somehow weak. And so to affect physically on himself, sometimes this problem will lead you to some physical problems. Fatigue, excessive sleep. So all of them are some psychological problems, and sometimes it ends by withdrawal from the new society or culture, and you will be back to your first place or to your country. Okay, now the stages that that cultural shock may process may have. We have actually, okay, 6 stages. Now, the first stage is called euphoria, the stage of honeymoon. So, suppose that you travel to a new country, to the country that you love. So, what will happen for you? The process of cultural shock will have the following stages. The first one is called euphoria. It is a honeymoon, so everything is seen through rose-colored glasses. So everything is beautiful, everything is bright, everything is fresh. You like everything in this new country. You are very happy, you are very fresh, and so on. The second stage is disillusionment or disappointment. In this stage, the person starts to feel incompetent in the new environment. He will start have some problems like isolation, including language and culture, especially if the language is different, and less self-confident overall. And they start to experience anxiety and depression and hostility. In this stage, the person is up to three choices: either to fight, either to flight, to run away and return back to his homeland, or to fight, to try to cope with the new situation, or to commitment, learning the new culture and try to live in it. The third stage is called initial adjustment. Here, the person starts to cope with the new culture, understand the cultural differences. He will actually start to cope, or he will try to cope with the situation he is in by learning, by trying to communicate with people around him, by getting good information about the customs, traditions, relations between people in this country, and so. Going deeper, here actually the person goes in deep with the whole cultural aspects. He'll try to have so many relations with people in this country. Acceleration, the last phase of adjustment process. Actually, in acceleration here, you are starting to go deeper and deeper. You are going to to try to have relations with your neighbors in this country, for example. You will start to cope not only with the Iranian environment, but with everything. Now, after this stage, acceleration, suppose that you will go back to your country as a holiday. What will happen is that once you go back to your country, you will feel culture shock again, okay? So you will try to go back to the new country, for example, to Spain, in order not to feel homesickness or not to feel culture shock. Then we will get reverse cultural shock. It happens when the person goes back to his home country. And actually, this is the worst feeling you may feel, because you are now in your home country, but again, you feel homesickness or you feel cultural shock. So these are the social problems that you may suffer from once we have social categorization, especially for the last one, the cultural shock. Like if you are traveling to a new country, but you are shocked with the idea that all people are categorized with some groups, and you have to choose which group to belong with. Okay. So this is the end of this chapter. I'll meet you next time. Goodbye.